here from Near and Far RV, and we had the opportunity this past Labor Day weekend to go to General Coffee State Park, which is up in Nicholls, Georgia. So really cool place to go. Spent the weekend there, got there on Friday, and we ended up leaving on Monday just after the festivities. So really cool experience for us. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think this was such a great park to go to. Loved that it was super relaxing, but had a ton to do. Really entertaining for us, but also for our son, which was nice because being that he's so young, it's not always accommodating for kids. Kids might get bored, at parks. There's a ton to do, so really excited to tell you guys about this park.
All right, so it's a pretty decent sized park. It has a lot of acreage. We're going to go over the campsites. We're going to go over activities. We're going to go over a little bit of what you're going to see when you're there and the activities that you can take advantage of. So first off, it's a heritage farm setup. So it's going to have everything that your typical farm would have back in the day. It's going to have the cottages. There's a large pond there. There's some livestock there. And when we say livestock, no, there's no cows, but there are chickens.
Some ducks, turkeys, there are pigs and goats, a mule, some horses.
Yep. All that stuff. You have
there's sheep.
Sheep, yeah. So they had quite a few things that were actually there living. They also had a garden center there that all the rangers were taking care of and using for for display purposes. They had a blacksmith shop. They had a tobacco barn, cane mill, as well as a small reptile exhibit. So that was the Heritage Farm setup. It's right when you come into the park. One of the first things you see after the ranger station and after pulling in past the gate there. So I will mention something about the gate. You do have the 24-hour access code, but the shop itself is pretty nice. There's a couple things in there if you're interested in buying little things to remember the campground by, or just your normal things you might have forgot. No groceries, but for the most part, like bug spray, things like that. So on to the campsites. You want to tell them about the campsites?
Yeah, there were 50 spots. They were all 50-foot pull-through spots, which were really nice. So it doesn't matter whether you had an RV or if you were going to pitch a tent. All the spots were 50-foot spots. You had plenty of space. There were 2 loops. So one loop had like a paved drive around. The other one was all gravel, but all the spots themselves were gravel. Thought they were great. They were kind of a mismatch of 50 amp versus 30 amp. I don't think it was exactly 50-50 the way it was split. But it was first come, first serve. So when you make your reservation online, you don't pick the spot. When you get there, they tell you to drive around, and whichever one you like, it's yours.
Yeah, so I will say with that is make sure that if you are a 30 amp service that you bring an adapter that's going to allow you to step down from that 50 amp to a 30 amp, because when spots started to get taken up, they were fully booked this weekend, and I'm sure some folks would have been out of luck if they didn't have that cable to help them get from that 50 amp service to that 30 amp service.
Yeah.
So yep. So on to the activities part. So a lot of really cool stuff went on during the activities portion of this campground. They have a lot to do. They have a lot of hiking you can do. They have 7 trails, all ranging from 0.8 of a mile one way all the way up to 4.8 miles one way. So if you are a hiker, if you like to go out and just kind of get lost out there and do your own thing, this is a great place to be. When we were on the trails, we didn't see anybody. We saw some folks that were on a different trail, but for the most part, we were out there. No one was there. All right. They also have 3 loops, so if you want to start at a spot and end at the same exact spot, they do have those available for you. They're a little smaller. They have 3 of them that range from 1.5 miles all the way to 2.2 miles, and each of them have their own respective things. We took 3. We did the Gopher Loop, which is one of their main attractions. You want to tell them about what we can see on that?
Well, they have a gopher tortoise that they make burrows in the ground. So when we were talking to one of the rangers, they were like, no, we hadn't seen one, but we did see one, not on the loop, but we did see one on the campground. So, but they're known for being around that loop, which is really cool. And also the blue indigo snake, which is a rare endangered snake, not harmful to us, but that was to be on the lookout on that trail as well. We didn't get to see one of those on this trip, but apparently they're there.
Yeah, and so they're very mild hiking trails. There's not a lot of hills, not a lot of really bad terrain to go through. They're pretty easy to do, a little sandy. I will say one thing that I was freaked out about. is there's these spiders, and I'm not a spider guy to begin with, but these spiders look like something out of arachnophobia. They are huge, and they're called the golden orb spider. And let me tell you, you can't see their webs a lot of time until you are right on. Well, I can't until you're right on top of them.
They build them in between trees because they want to catch, insects flying through. Yes, they're very large spiders. They're not aggressive to humans. Their venom is not lethal. They say it hurts less than a bee sting, and they're very they're not intrusive. They're gonna mind their own business. They will bite you if they're provoked. They look a little fierce.
Yeah, I think the thing that got me is they go from tree to tree. So as you're walking down the trail, you got to be very mindful of what is in front of you, because you might be walking face first right into a golden orb spider web, and that is the last thing I want to have happen to me, because I will probably fall over.
They built them up tall, so if you're under
6'4",
you're fine.
Yeah, you're probably fine.
You're not gonna walk into one.
Right. On to the next piece is, more down towards the Heritage Farm. They do have fishing down there. It's a decent-sized fishery. I wouldn't call it a pond. I mean, it's a little bit bigger. They got 2 sections. They got a bridge. They got island. And they do have some other things that are available if you want to go a little bit outside of the campground. They do have the 17-mile river, which is adjacent to the park itself, and you can take advantage of some fishing in there as well. They had paddle boats, they had canoeing and kayak rentals down there, so if you are someone who is coming up and didn't bring it with you, you can rent one right there. It's really, really inexpensive to do. From a farm standpoint, our son took advantage of Feed the Animals, and they do it every Sunday. And
yeah, so they offer farm tours, but every Sunday they let you feed the animals, so it's $1 per person, whoever wants to feed the animals. Again, because our son's so small, he wasn't actually feeding the animals, which was nice, so they didn't charge us. But we got to walk along and watch the other kids do it, which was really nice. But really fun if you do have kids of age that are brave enough to want to feed the animals. And the rangers that take you out while you're doing it, they give you a little educational piece about them all. All of the animals have names, and it was just really cute for the kids. That took about 45 minutes. So not super long, long enough to keep the child entertained. But they had that, which they do every Sunday. They also have a thing called Forage in the Forest, where they take you along a trail and talk about all of the kind of edible options, things you can eat throughout the forest. And then I know this weekend they had some pioneer games they were doing down at the Heritage area.
Pondapalooza, which are they're basically using the pond and the area down there just for some fun games.
Games.
To keep people, really into the holiday or into the Labor Day. They're doing kayak races and things like that. So really, really cool stuff if that's what you're into.
They do it all the time, not just because it was Labor Day. They host these events all the time. A lot of them were at no charge. So I think you had talked about the reptile exhibit earlier. There was no fee to go in and look at the reptiles. And all of the rangers were constantly available to talk to, ask questions, and that was really great. I think there was a lot for kids and even us. I was very entertained.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of I know on Sunday, because it was our last full day there, I was wait, we got to get up because at 9 o'clock there's this, at 11 o'clock that, 1 o'clock too. Our day was completely booked, which was nice. It kept us really entertained.
Yeah, I agree. So we're going to go ahead and take you on a quick tour of the campsite itself and around the park. Keep in mind, we didn't do all of the hiking trails. We only did 3, the Gopher Loop, East River Swamp, and the West River Swamp. So just those 3 trails there, which were enough for us. We also have some good footage while we were down at the Heritage Farm itself, so you'll be able to see the animals and how close you can get to them. So we'll be showing you that, and after that, we'll give you the ratings. guys, we're back. We're going to go ahead and give you our ratings. So we rate on 3 things.
Cleanliness, campsite,
Yep.
and
The activities. Yep, and then we give you the overall. So from a cleanliness standpoint, I think we both give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, only being because of the bathhouses. They weren't bad, but they definitely could have been better. I know you had mentioned about the shower, the height of the
the head of the shower head was below my head, and I'm 6 foot, and so it was below and hitting me in the chest. So it made it a little bit weird trying to duck down to use the showers, but I mean overall, I thought they were okay. I would give them a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, same in mine. So I'm shorter, didn't have that issue, but there was like a lot of standing water in the bathroom, so it was kind of like you were standing in the dirty water. 4 out of 5. Definitely not a bad bathhouse, but could have been better.
Campsites, we give it a 4 out of 5. And I think the one thing that stood out to me was I couldn't move the picnic table.
Yeah.
It was pure concrete.
Slab of concrete.
And that thing was heavy. I thought, so when we first got there, we had a bunch of ants that were all over the picnic table from either, previous guests might have left some things there that they were after, but they were completely all over the picnic table. So I thought I was just going to be able to move it and, move it to maybe underneath our awning and get it out of the way of the ants, but unfortunately could not move it whatsoever. So didn't like that. It did have a fire pit though, which it was adjustable up and down if you're going to be cooking on top of it. So it did have that little extra there. Level though, so
Yeah, it was not level. I think we have 10 leveling blocks.
Yep.
And we used all 10 of them.
Yeah.
So we probably should have had a little bit more just in case. But I would say the sites, because it was really hilly, there were a lot of ups and downs. Definitely need to make sure you have your leveling blocks and maybe a little extra.
Yeah, and I'll say one thing to say something positive about the sites is lots of shade. So most trailers have ACs now, but if you don't, you could probably still survive in this area without an AC because there's so much shade there. It was I think 86 or 90 as a high, 72 as a low, and our AC did not run as much as I thought it was going to run. So obviously the shade played a big portion in that, keeping that AC off. So activities. I think we both agree 5 out of 5. This is easily one of the best parks we've seen where we can go to and have something to do. It almost reminded me of being at like a resort or on a cruise where you get to see your daily activities prior. And I mean, to see that letter when you get to your campsite and being able to see what you can do and plan for your kids or for your guests, I think was awesome.
Yeah, because they gave you this flyer advertising all the events, but then at the gate they put it on the whiteboard every day, and like we said, the rangers were always around, so they communicated it really well. So they made sure that the guests knew about it.
Yeah. So overall, I think we both agree. We give General Coffee State Park a 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
Yeah. So awesome park. I think you can easily spend a week here, even if you're just coming up just to relax a little bit for a weekend. It still has plenty to offer if you do have folks that want to jump out and do stuff, but easily can entertain all ages. I think it can entertain young guys all the way up to teenagers and above. There's plenty of things. You got mountain biking, hiking, fishing, kayaking, canoeing. You name it, you can pretty much do it at General Coffee State Park. So that's it. I mean, anything else you want to add?
We didn't talk about the playgrounds. There were multiple playgrounds. I think there were 4 or 5.
Yeah.
No swings, but lots of slides, monkey bars, really fun things for kids. Very convenient at all of the campgrounds. So just want to add that in there for us moms with the kids. Lots of playgrounds.
Yeah, awesome. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch the video. If you haven't already, leave a comment below if you have a question, and please make sure you're following us at Near and Far RV on Instagram. So see you guys next time.